Hello BookTube, this is Kelly with Books I'm Not Reading, and I think this might be take 4, maybe take 5 of my Poetry for Beginners video this month that I do along with Brian from Bookish. I will link to his excellent video about Anne Sexton below. And we're hoping that Mark from Words Everywhere will join us in the future. So Anne Sexton was this month's poet, and I think in the past I've described it as this being an experience of Brian and I, like, kind of dipping our toes into the water of poetry or getting our feet wet in poetry. And this month for me, it felt like we had jumped into a pool that was full of black water. It's Anne Sexton, and I'm just struggling so much with this video because I want to tell you about her life, but at the same time I'm not totally sure what's true and what's not true, and I just have to find a way, because if I start thinking too much about her life, I mean, the first video I took of this, I was practically in tears because her life was very sad. So we'll just leave it at that. Her life was extremely, extremely sad. She lived from 1928 to 1974. She died by suicide at the age of 45 and could have gone on to write so much more. And we are not talking about Anne Sexton today because of how she died, because of her issues with mental health or substance abuse. That is not why we were talking about her. And the other thing that I have, Jason really has to kind of hammer into me every once in a while, is that poetry is not biography. So it's somewhere between fiction and nonfiction. I guess it's in that gray area. Anne Sexton was considered a confessional poet, and so there is certainly a lot of biography that you can read into it, but you don't have to. You can still read her poems, especially the one Brian reads on his channel. It's just such a beautiful poem. But you can still read her poems and look at them for what they are. So I'm going to read a poem, we're going to talk a little bit about it, and then I'm going to wrap this up before I get too carried away. So, the poem I'm going to read to you was published in her first collection of poetry. It came out in 1960, and it is called Her Kind. I have gone out, a possessed witch, haunting the black air, braver at night, dreaming evil. I have done my hitch over the plain houses, light by light. Lonely thing, 12-fingered out of mind. A woman like that is not a woman, quite. I have been her kind. I have found the warm caves in the woods, filled them with skillets, carvings, shelves, closets, silks, innumerable goods. Fixie suppers for the worms and the elves. Whining, rearranging the disaligned. A woman like that is misunderstood. I have been her kind. I have ridden in your cart, driver, waved my nude arms at villages going by, learning the last bright roots, survivor, where your flames still bite my thigh, and my ribs crack where your wheels wind. A woman like that is not ashamed to die. I have been her kind. I think it's a really powerful poem, a very feminist poem, obviously. For thousands of years, women have been, we're a little bit different, have been persecuted in our patriarchal societies. And so she's kind of talking about not just women who are considered witches, but women who are marginalized, maybe feel like they're on the fringes of society a little bit. The thing I really like about it is that it really plays into a lot of the senses. So, I mean, even there's like the smells from the suppers for the worms and the elves. There's feeling of silks and the skillets and carvings, woods, the visual of her flying over houses, of waving nude arms at villages going by, the feeling, the actual touch of where your flames still bite my thigh, and then the sounds. My ribs crack where your wheels wind. So I really enjoy that kind of sharpness to the poem. I also think it is particularly relevant, unfortunately, still today. In recent news events, women in certain parts of the United States are basically being told that decisions regarding their own body are not their decisions to make and are considered a crime. I think Anne Sexton would have something to say about that. I really like the line, "A woman like that is not a woman quite." So what do we expect from women as a society? How are we supposed to behave? How are we supposed to dress? What is it okay for us to do? What is not okay? What careers can we pursue? Can we be poets? Can we be astronauts? Can we be mothers? You know, whatever it is, like what is our role? But just other people deciding like what does it mean to be a woman other than the woman herself. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting poem, and like I said, I really enjoy the experience of reading it out loud. It took a while. It took me, and of course I've done multiple takes of this, so it's taken me a while to find kind of the right rhyming scheme, and I'm still not sure I totally did it justice in that. But anyway, so the collected works, collected poems of Anne Sexton, and if you are an Anne Sexton fan, I would love to hear more about your thoughts on that. Poems of hers that you particularly love. If there's a poet that you think maybe was inspired by Anne Sexton, or a poet you think maybe that Brian and I should check out in this series. So thank you so much for watching. I managed to keep it all together. And we'll see you next month. Next month we will be reading the 1855 edition, which is very important to clarify, of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. Don't know how that video is going to go already. That's certainly a long epic poem to read, but I'm looking forward to it. It feels very kind of summery. And so maybe summer will be here where I live at that point. But anyway, so that's what you have to look forward to next month in this series. Thank you so much for watching. And again, I encourage you to leave comments down below about what you think. So thanks so much. Remember to be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Take care, BookTube. Bye.